mistake that people make. They say that, okay, I answer your email once, twice, 15 times the same problem, instead of just writing it down once and telling people, there's your solution, you don't have to go and find it again afterwards. So, you have all the different forums for all the different products. You have Yahoo Answers, you've got APT, Blueprint, and so on and so forth. So if you don't know yet what we're having, it's a good start to actually see what people get stuck with. But the first thing to do is just to go through the systems. And I'm going to talk about a few of the APIs that we're having now and just introduce to you why they would be useful for you to have a look at. Yahoo Blueprint is a mobile phone environment that allows you to build mobile phone applications. It is a bit outdated, but it's still an interesting concept to look at. If you nowadays want to build something for the mobile market, it can get very annoying. Because on the web, we've got about 4 or 5 browsers to care about. On the mobile market, we've got about 415 handsets to talk about. And that just doesn't make sense to build for each of them a different solution. So a lot of people came up with networks, with frameworks to allow you to build mobile applications. And Blueprint was one of them. Nowadays, a very good one to look at is PhoneGap. PhoneGap actually allows you to write HTML, CSS, and JavaScript widgets and then render them out as different widgets for iPhone, for iPad, for Nokia, for Symbian, well, not anymore, but for Symbian Nokia now, and all the systems that you want to build. So instead of building a application for each of those things, you build it once in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and render it out in the different ways that you need to. Browser Plus is an extension to browsers that actually allows you to do things like get the accelerometer of a computer or do drag and drop uploading. This one is a precursor of what we have now in HTML5 browsers, in Google Chrome, in Opera, in Firefox, and it actually was quite good that we did this about 3 years ago, because a lot of the research that we've done there went into the new browsers that we're using nowadays that allow you to use the web in a much more interactive way than it did before. Desktop widgets is a rather old system as well that allows you to do widgets like you have on a Mac, like these kind of things, and you can actually run them across different operating systems, like they run on Linux, Windows, and Mac, and you can use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to build with them. Hadoop is a number crunching solution. If you have worked with Memcache before, Hadoop is something we open source that allows you to go through massive data sets really, really quickly. So all of our search platform, all of our highly intensive, computing intensive platforms are running on Hadoop, and it's a massive, massive market right now. Yahoo Pipes is something we built a few years ago, and I'm going to show it in a second, which is actually quite a nice system if you want to play with the web as a big data set rather than just as a collection of websites. Connected TV is for America, more or less. It's you can have these little widgets that I showed before on television sets that allow you to actually have a little timer on top of your TV and so on and so forth. YQL is something I'm going to talk about a lot, because YQL, to me, is actually the coolest product that Yahoo has built in the last few years. It turns the whole internet into one database. So instead of having to understand how to get information from different APIs, how to understand how to do searches on the web, for example, on an XML level, you just have a simple language that turns every web service and every data set out there into a simple database for you to filter, pre-filter, and do all kind of cool stuff with. YSlow is a very important system for performance. So if you look at what Google does nowadays, it does the old ranking that we did before, like the domain is important, the keywords are important, the content are very important, but lately Google also says like the faster your website is, the higher we will rank it. So what we've done with YSlow is we collected all the information that we've done, how we made our websites faster, how we made them snappier and faster for the end user to look at, and we put it into an extension for Firefox that you can randomly test websites and get automatically your grade. And I'm going to come back to that in detail later on. The Yahoo User Interface Library is what we use to build our websites. As I said before, we cannot allow every developer to do their own thing. So instead, we actually took the best of the best, what we found, all the solutions that we found in different products, and put them together in one library that you can use to build your websites with. And I'm getting rather tired of building my websites from scratch every single time. I start with YUI, and then I know it works across all the browsers that Yahoo has to support. And that actually is a very powerful thing to do, because it means you save a lot of time that you don't have to test things yourself. The advertising platforms and the search marketing platforms are not applicable here, so let's go through that quickly. We have different authentication systems. We have an old BBAuth, which is the old way of actually authenticating with web services. We have OAuth services and OpenID, and that to me is the future of the web. I mean, if you build a new product right now, please don't build your own login system, because I have to remember enough usernames and passwords as it is. There's no point anymore to actually tell people, oh, you have to have sign in for my websites, when people like Yahoo, like Google, like Facebook and Twitter, all of them offer you authentication systems that people already have. If I have a Twitter account, I can actually use a lot of systems out there. If I have a Yahoo account, I can use many systems out there, and you can get your system behind a Yahoo login as well, which makes a lot more sense than actually looking after the security of your users yourself and answering all these emails when people forgot their password because they set it as password. So please think about authentication systems that are already there, because we're building right now an internet that is not little pages anymore, but interconnected pages where we share information with each other, and it's very, very powerful to do that. Because when people already have, 500 million people on Facebook, why not allow them to log into your system with that login that they have already? I'm not saying you get all these 500 million, probably not, but it makes a lot easier for you to actually build something. We have the Contacts API that allows you to go through all the contact systems in Yahoo, so all our social graph. We have a Mail API that allows you to write your own mail client on top of Yahoo Mail, or actually to build systems into Yahoo Mail. And we have the Messenger platform, which is an SDK that you can download in case you want to extend the Messenger. We used to have plugins for the Messenger system itself, but that API has been deprecated because it was just not taken on as much as we thought it would be. We have fantasy sports for America, which probably is not that interesting here. We have finance data, hot jobs, my blog log, RSS feeds of everything really. Most of the systems inside Yahoo are available as an RSS feed as well. Upcoming is for events, so if you have an event system, you can actually use Upcoming yourself. Relocation-based systems, where a lot of people don't know. Because people talk about geolocation nowadays. In America, the first thing is Foursquare. Worldwide, people say, yeah, Google Maps. That's basically where all the geolocation happens. What Yahoo has is a data set that powers our geosystems, and I'm going to talk about that in a lot of detail later on as well, which allows you to actually get information about the planet and the hierarchy of where you are. So instead of just showing you a map, it tells you where you are, what is around you, what kind of points of interest you can find, and we map the whole Earth out as a data set rather than just as a beautiful map. And all of this is available for free that you can actually enhance your websites with, and it's quite amazing what you can do with that. FireEagle is a location broker service that would allow people to tell you where they are right now in a secure manner. So we built this, I think, 2.5 years ago, and the problem was back then that mobile phones weren't as sophisticated as they are nowadays, and data plans were not there yet. So you paid far too much money to tell the world where you are. That's why FireEagle fell a bit behind, but it's still a very powerful technology that powers things like Flickr and Doppler. Local APIs give you local information, sadly not only for America right now. Our Maps API is still around. Place Finder and Placemaker are another geosystems I'm going to talk about. Traffic data is available for America, and weather data is available worldwide. It's amazing how many people want weather data. I never understand it because I look outside the window or get the newspaper and get the information, but it's a very, very highly trafficked API that we have. We have Flickr. For photos, we've got a media player for you to play with, and you have the Yahoo Music API in case you want to know about different artists and what related artists there are. In search, we have Yahoo Answers as an API. We have Boss for search, which is now changing a bit. We have Delicious. Delicious, never underestimate the power of Delicious. Like if you want to have really cool information about a certain topic, Delicious.com is always a very, very interesting resource, because this is where geeks like me bookmark. and actually we tag it and we actually describe it. So instead of just having random search results, you actually have information that you know is going to be good. So if you look at the HTML5 here, for example, let's see what the first things come up. It's Ask Technical Reader for iPad. It's the newest thing happening right now. Oh, these are my bookmarks, that's why. Dive into HTML5 is a free book to learn about HTML5. So that's the most useful bookmark in this case if you want to learn it. Other search engines would probably have shown like HTML5 showcased by Apple or by Google or other people, where you don't learn about learning it, but you learn about just seeing it. And HTML5 boilerplate is something to download where you can start your HTML from scratch, and so on and so forth. So if you want to have bookmarks curated by geeks for you, that's where Delicious comes in. Yahoo, social applications we talked about before, the Contacts API. There's also a social directory which tells you the users and their connections. All of that is behind a secure login. So none of this data is available to the outside world. So in our social graph, we take security very, very serious, and not every provider out there does that, so a lot of information of you leaks out on the web, and that's not actually good. You have a status, which is on the Yahoo network, and you have an updates API that allows you to read updates from your friends or to do updates to our own network, which would show up in your Pulse interface, in your Messenger, in your mail. So if you want to do things on the Yahoo network or to reach people, you can do that through the update API. Yap is a system that allows you to build little applications, widgets, that would run inside the Yahoo homepages, inside the toolbar, inside the My Yahoo, and inside Mail soon as well. So you can build little like Facebook-style applications that run on Yahoo using the Open Social API that is also supported by Google and Orchid. My Yahoo is an old API that goes into the app as well, and Yahoo Meme was built by our team in Brazil, which is basically a Twitter-style update my friends with photos, with links, with all kind of information that is rather big actually in Brazil and in other Southern American states, and it was built completely on YQL, which is really, really cool, because it's one of those systems where we can show the world how easy it is to build something new on YQL. For the designers, a very interesting thing is the design pattern library, which is actually not only for designers but also people who don't want to pay designers or think they know what people don't want, and most of the time they don't. What we've done with our design pattern library is we analyzed how people use the internet. We did user testing, we did A/B testing, we just wanted to find out how certain things are actually most useful for people and how people understand the web as it is. And then we found these and actually made them into patterns and say like, if you need something, here's a solution for that. So for example, a progress bar. What is a progress bar good for? Basically for loading really long and taking a while. So it says like a progress bar can help set expectations, for length of process and what to generally expect for it. So every one of these patterns, it tells you what problem it solves, when to use it, what's the solution, and it shows you parts of the Yahoo homepage or the Yahoo network where these things are actually in use. So if you want to build an interface that works for people out there, and you don't want to assume what's going on there, go through the design pattern library. This one is also Creative Commons licensed, so you can actually extend it. So if you find that some of these things don't work at all for your end users here, or for your market here, please tell us about it, and then we can extend that and say like, well, we found in the Arabic world, actually the progress meter goes to the other side, for example, which is in this case now one of the pattern things that work on here. So this is very, very powerful if you want to start your own little wireframes, or you want to start your designs without really coming up with everything yourself. And in the end, you want to have users that are actually happy with your websites. You want to solve a problem, because people don't come to websites to look at how pretty your logo is. People don't come to websites to see the shiny background image. They come to websites with a reason. I want to read the news. I want to know about the weather. I want to actually talk to my friends. I want to see if there's emails coming in. So if you can solve the problems of people as quickly as possible, then you have happy users. Otherwise you have users that go, ooh, your logo is pretty, and don't come back again anymore. And that just doesn't make sense. And a lot of companies understand that. I mean, Google is a big search box. That's why it is the #1 search